Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Shravanam Diaries Podcast.
Reading Bhagavad Gita as it is, the book by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Chapter 4. Transcendental Knowledge, Text 22. Yadricha labha santushto dvandvatito vimatsaraha sama siddhav asidhav cha kritvapi na nibadhyate. He who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. Purport. A Krishna-conscious person does not make much endeavor even to maintain his body. He is satisfied with gains which are obtained of their own accord. He never begs nor borrows, but he labors honestly as far as is in his power, and is satisfied with whatever is obtained by his own honest labor. Okay. This is very, very important to understand. I'll just say the key words that I'm personally highlighting for myself. Many times we hear about being satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, and we think that everybody should be satisfied with the same things. But here, Srila Prabhupada explains that such a person never begs or borrows, right? He labors honestly as far as is in his power. For some person, it's within his power to work according to some extent, and he is satisfied with whatever he has obtained. But what comes out of its own accord for one person will not be the same for the other person. Some person may have 4-story building and a car, and he just honestly labors according to his power, and he is satisfied with whatever is obtained. That's just as far as his power goes. But for another person, if he wants to have the same 4-story house and the car, he would have to go beyond his reach, and he would have to again beg or steal or borrow, go into some depths, and then to maintain and to have all those things. And that's a clear prayasa, which is unnecessary material endeavor. It just goes technically beyond his power. It doesn't come out of its own accord. So what's comfortable for one person will not be comfortable for the other person. So this is very important to judge yourself accordingly, honestly, and not to compare, saying that such a person, he is really satisfied with whatever is obtained, and you are, you have, you're traveling all over the world. But what if traveling all over the world, that's just something that comes out of its own accord? I know devotees, I have friends who just travel all over the world, and they utilize this opportunity to preach and to attend different festivals, and they're not they're not doing anything extra, or it's not such a hard labor for them. It's not they're going beyond their means. It's just something within their power. They labor as Prabhupada says, they labor as far as in their power, honest endeavors, and it just comes. Yeah, okay, next. He is therefore independent in his livelihood. He does not allow anyone's service to hamper his own service in Krishna consciousness. Wow, I mean, second sentence, which really brings a lot of memories. You know, this, when you don't allow anyone's service to hamper your own service in Krishna consciousness, that's really, also you can give a whole lecture on this topic. Yeah. Okay, let's read further. However, for the service of the Lord, he can participate in any kind of action without being disturbed by the duality of the material world. The duality of the material world is felt in terms of heat and cold, or misery and distress, misery and happiness. A Krishna conscious person is above duality because he does not hesitate to act in any way for the satisfaction of Krishna. He does not hesitate. Therefore, he is steady both in success and in failure. These signs are visible when one is fully in transcendental knowledge. Okay. Okay, next time I get intoxicated because I'm so successful, or next time I'm like drowning in the pool of sorrow because of failure, I'll remember that if I would be having full transcendental knowledge, then I would be steady in both. Jai. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes we try to do anything to avoid failure, or sometimes we're afraid to have some success and have that kind of attention and everything. But basically being Krishna conscious means you don't hesitate to do anything for Krishna. You're not afraid to be successful. You're not afraid to be a failure. You don't hesitate. Jai. Text 23. Gata sangasya muktasya jnana vasthita chetasa yagya yacharatah karma samagram praviliyate. I'm sorry to go back to the previous purport, but I just wanted to say one thing to remember. That the verse was about that one is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord. Sometimes we misinterpret and think that everything that comes of its own accord means that this is Krishna's arrangement and this is how it's supposed to be. But in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that he does not allow anyone's service to hamper his own service. So something that comes of its own accord, but then something may come that, or it may come through someone that may hamper your service. So it's really important to have that discrimination, basically, you know? Is this within my power? Is this hampering my service? Not that anything happens. Oh, maybe Krishna doesn't want me to do this service. Do we really want to speculate what Krishna wants? Why don't we ask our spiritual master, ask Shri Guru, ask Bhagavad Gita, and, you know, just, that's why, I just, in the last 10 years of conscious spiritual practice, I've done so many mistakes on this point. You know, what does it mean something comes of its own accord? What does it mean? If a person comes of its own accord, stands next to me, and starts hammering me on the head, and I'm like, well, it came out of its own accord, I must have done something, and I have to tolerate it. And instead of just like standing up and either walking out of the room or trying to pacify this devotee or call for help, just, well, it came out of its own accord, I just need to accept it and be satisfied. So really, it really boils down to reading Prabhupada's books with attention and really contemplating it deeply and applying it with intelligence, not taking something out of context, and really looking at it all in a proper perspective. Okay, now we've read the Sanskrit of text number 23, and now we're going to read the translation. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. Wow. So unattached to the modes and fully situated in transcendental knowledge. Merges entirely. Such work merges entirely. Purport. Becoming fully Krishna conscious, one is freed from all dualities and thus is free from the contaminations of the material modes. He can become liberated because he knows his constitutional position in relationship with Krishna, and thus his mind cannot be drawn from Krishna consciousness. Consequently, whatever he does for Krishna, who is the primeval Vishnu. Therefore, all his works are technically sacrifices, because sacrifice aims at satisfying the Supreme Person, Vishnu, Krishna. The resultant reactions to all such work certainly merge into transcendence, and one does not suffer material effects. Jai Jai Jai. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The book links, previous episodes timeline, and biography of the author can be found on shravanamdiaries.com. The link is in the description, and we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna